Hi, and thank you for being here. This is Maria Mandarino, and I am here today with Julie Jacobs of Windhorse Counseling, and we are talking about the Enneagram and the Enneagram types and narcissists. Today, we're going to focus on Enneagram Type 5, which is in the head center, and also known as the observer. Also called the researcher and the investigator. So we'll get into a lot more of that. Julie, tell us first a little bit about yourself and your practice, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so I have Windhorse Counseling here in Chandler, Arizona. I've been a therapist for 20 years, at least officially. My practice is called Windhorse because in the Eastern traditions, the Windhorse is a mythical creature that carries you and helps you carry yourself until you can do it all on your own. And that's what we do here. We help people along the way until they have all the tools they need to do it themselves. So if you're interested in working with me so that I can help you figure it out, you can reach me by phone, email, text, whatever works best for you. I'm pretty easy that way.
All righty. And that's windhorsecounseling.com.
Great.
Right. Okay. Right. And that'll all this contact information will be in the show notes. So today we're going to talk about Enneagram Type 5. So I'm going to hop over to some slides and introduce you to the focus of Type 5. So again, we're in the head center now. And Type 5s put a high priority on knowledge and information. For 5s, thinking overrides feelings. So to the rest of the world, they can look like pretty detached people. They don't think they're detached, but they're perceived that way. Their thinking can be compartmentalized. They like to find the patterns in things. They're big on figuring it out. So if you can figure out the pattern, you can figure out what's going on. So that's kind of how their thinking process works. They do a lot of sorting too. So if this looks like that, I'll put it in that bucket. If this looks like that, it's probably in that bucket. So it's that compartmentalized thinking. They are scanners and observers. They're taking it all in. Some people say that they're sponges. They are concerned with not having enough energy. And I say concerned because they usually do have energy, but they feel that they don't. And they're very sensitive to feeling like they may be losing energy. That's really difficult and scary to a 5. They guard their time. It's a high priority on time. So something I'd like to add there, if they give you your time, they are giving you one of their greatest treasures. They protect their privacy. And again, kind of like guarding their time, if they open up to you and they share their innermost workings, that's a great expression of trust. They resent intrusion and intrusive behavior, or what they perceive as intrusive behavior can cause them to feel anxious. So it doesn't have to be behavior that you may perceive as intrusive, but if the 5 does, that's going to make them anxious. They guard their possessions. That's usually on the lower side of things. They value self-sufficiency and self-control. Usually those things are going to tie into information for a 5. That's information makes them feel self-sufficient and self-controlled. And they need time to decompress after too much stimulation. So a common thing with 5s is I say they're on tape delay. So they'll be in a conversation and like an hour later they're like, oh, why didn't I think that when I was talking to so and so? So that's why that decompression time for after they've had too much stimulation is important, because they're literally like sorting out their thoughts like an hour later, sometimes longer than that. So all right, so I'm going to stop that share and hop over to the limiting beliefs of the 5. So these kind of the reason I'm going into the slide next is I want to kind of have one big chat around these ideas. So the 5 believes the world demands too much of me, gives too little. I must guard my energy against my energy and time against intrusions, or I will not have enough energy for myself. I value my privacy and being self-sufficient. I also value knowledge and information because they make me feel safe. That's like the important thing to remember there. And being in the spotlight and having the wrong information feels like death to me. That's like visceral for a 5. It's a real exposed, scary feeling. So, all right, so I'm going to pop out of that. And so let's talk about that in the context of a 5 dealing with a narcissist.
So I'm struggling here a little bit because I had a new thought.
Okay.
In that, so the 5 being in the head place, right, is often a gift with a narcissist. And a narcissist wants to tap into your heart, into your soul, and 5s don't have one. So just kidding. I had to say. But yeah, so being in the headspace can be good. However, that need to have the information and that being so powerful, that can be a hook for a narcissist. Also the privacy and the self-sufficiency, valuing knowledge and information. I can see a narcissist using that as, I don't know if you know this about this, but now they're giving you what you crave.
Yep.
Right? And now you're going to give them some information, and now you've exposed yourself.
Yep.
So that being vulnerable, yikes,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Y'all got your bubble. And, the 5s, like we had talked about, they need that bubble. They guard themselves. They protect themselves.
Yep.
They stay in the thinking place, which protects their heart for sure.
Yeah. I also want to hold that thought. I want to hop over. I'm taking this out of order. I want to hop over here for a quick minute. So we've talked about this in other episodes with different types, specifically with the 2. So these lines mean we have the ability to go to a different type. And we're going to talk about that later. But there's an invisible line here. So we say 5s don't have a heart because they don't have easy access to these 3 types here, the 2, the 3, and the 4. There's no lines, right? But there's an invisible line, so it's kind of like an unpaved road. And what that looks like for a 5, so 2 is the giver, it's the heart energy. Takes a lot for the 5 to get there. They're gonna kind of not even going against the grain. There is no grain. They got to pave the way.
Road less traveled.
Yeah, definitely the road less traveled. But when they decide to travel it for you, it's going to look like my way of showing my heart to you is sharing what I know. So yeah, so if the narcissist is coming to them with information, that's like somebody coming to the 5 with like a tray of Godiva chocolates. Like there's just no better way to get in. So yeah, so I wanted, that's actually a really good thing to point out. So thank you for saying that. So yeah, so just because we talked a lot about the heart types being so vulnerable to narcissists. We're all vulnerable to them. It's just
100%.
Different ways. Some things are more obvious maybe. But yeah, for the 5, when the narcissist figures out that your whole life happens between here and they can get in there, you've lost control of the one thing you know to be real and true as a 5.
And that's where the narcissist, that's what they do best, is figuring out where the chinks in the armor are. Where can I get in?
Yep. And when they get in, so that the little cracks, right? They get in, our energy gets out. Out of the 9 types, the 5s are the ones that are convinced they don't have enough energy on a good day. Okay. And so like any day they're like leaking energy or believe they're leaking energy. Now you got this narcissist who's in there and this crack, right? And the energy is leaking out. So as 5 continues to experience the intrusive energy of the narcissist, as the head games begin and they start to feel more drained, and disconnected from their power source, which is again their mind, right? They lose the energy, they start to lose the battle.
Are 5s better at that, or I don't know, better that are they more comfortable going to that sort of self-awareness place of I'm losing energy. What's going on?
Yeah,
Check.
that's why people kind of perceive 5s as being antisocial, because when it gets real panicky, they have to just go somewhere, decompress, recharge, leave me alone. I'm just going to close the door to my room and you're not going to see me for the next 5 hours. One of the guys that I trained with, his daughter, I think she was like 5 years old. And he suspected she was, a developing 5. And like, he didn't know what to do with that. She would just like go into her room, shut the door, not like in a fit or anything, but she would just play for, several hours. And that was how but it was like always after something that was overwhelming, like energetically, like it would be normal for any other kid. But for her, you're out with a bunch of kids, went to a birthday party, whatever. Okay, now I'm just going to play for the next few hours and not come out of my room. That's like a 5 thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Or go read a book or, something that's going to tune out the outside world. So we've joked in the past about other types needing to go get a bubble, and 5 being the original bubble type. That's
invented the bubble.
I've invented the bubble, yes. and it's like a good thick bubble. It's not just like a bubble. It's not like it's not just any bubble. It's a bubble. And most people have the good sense to stay out of it, because it can get ugly if you push the 5's bubble. Because they, in their low side, they're not going to have many social graces about it. But if somebody gets in a sneaky way, which narcissists are sneaky, right? And I think you're right. I think the way they're going to do it is through knowledge and information, either bringing it to you or
challenging.
Out, challenging, or that kind of. I heard you say this, at that presentation you did, or at this party we went to, or we were talking to so and so, and are you sure you're right about that? And that can send a 5 into the library or down the Google rabbit hole for the next several years, because it's like, oh my God, I was wrong. And what did I say wrong? And who did I say it to? Now they're going through like the card catalog in their head of who did I talk to? And they're panicked. And again, that's like nothing worse than death. Sharing information, no less in a group, and you were wrong. So there's 2 ways the narcissist can play that game. And neither one of them is going to feel good to a 5. It's going to be pretty panicky for a 5. So the info
to be true.
What?
Challenging what you know to be true.
Yeah. Because again, what you know to be true is that's safety. That's safety for a 5. Like that's how a 5 knows they're safe. I've got the data. And now you're telling me, oh crap, my data was wrong. So now you've set me up to feel unsafe. And I probably have some damage control, because I don't know who I think about who I even just talked to about this and how many people I spoke to about it last week and the week before, where so they're hamster wheel. Okay. So another danger zone where that can start to go is that can take a 5 to the 7, which is their stress line. I'm going to bring that picture up again. So these are the paved roads. So 5 goes to 7 in stress, or disintegration. falling apart, right? So that can look like it starts to look like a low 7 of that ADHD, kind of fragmented, all over the place, pilfering through books, all over the internet, and just like they're everywhere but standing in front of you. And 5s are usually pretty grounded, but if you can get a 5 to go to 7, you pretty much own them. You own their mind. And they're not in charge of their heads anymore. So if you find yourself as a 5 doing that, and you're going down the information rabbit hole, stop right there. Just stop and ask yourself, what just happened? What just took me out of my centered place of knowing? The place where I know I'm safe and comfortable. What took me out of there? How to get there? How did this just happen? So that's one question to ask yourself. The other is because I lead with 5, so because we're comfortable with information, we love research, we love sharing it because that's how we express our invisible line to the 2 in that harmony triad. We want to bring the data either to win somebody over or to just make things right. So 5s can kind of look like 1s that way sometimes, because they'll keep fighting with the information and it looks like they want to be right, but what they really want is to be understood. So that's another place where you can get trapped in just bringing the information to the narcissist, and it's a pretty dangerous place to put information. So it's knowing, that expression of don't cast your pearls before swine. Like in this case, information that you know to be truth, don't put it in front of the narcissist.
Because you're giving them a gift on a silver tray then.
Yeah, to use against you, to drain you with, to berate you with, to put you down. They'll probably, depending on where you are in the relationship, you can speak more to this, Julie, they'll probably use it to engage you first. And then they'll use it to hurt you. Yeah. When you start hearing things out of the narcissist, like, you think you're so smart, don't you? That's when you know they've been at work on this for a while. And that's, I would think you're pretty deep in at that point.
Or when it's, where did you get that information?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they know, if they've been studying you long enough, they know what your next response to that's going to be, is going back to check. So they've got you on the run. Because that's the one thing you can count on the 5 to do is, yep. Yep.
And you go ahead and run with it. I can hold on to this line all day long.
Yep.
And you'll get good and tired. Running around looking for the answer.
Yep.
And when you do,
yep. Then I'll send you to the next book. Yeah.
And the next one. And the Google search.
Yep. Yep. Got that battery charged on that phone? The other thing I want to mention, we mentioned the intrusions and the invasiveness of the narcissist. So that's one thing. So if you notice that you don't have time to breathe, they're not giving you the opportunity to decompress for a little while. And I made jokes about 5 hours in your room, but decompression can also look like you've put in a full day at work, and your routine is, I come home from work and I don't want to deal with anything for a half hour or 10 minutes. you know, but you have boundaries. So fives are the kings and the queens of boundaries. I didn't mention that, but they're really good with boundaries. And again, another reason why other people think, oh, what a snob, what a pain in the ass, you know, but that like the boundary has a purpose for the five. It's so they can plug back in and then be there for you.
Keeps you safe.
Yeah. Yeah. So the narcissist knows that if they intrude on that, they take that away from you and you're not on stable ground. So be aware of that, I would say. The other thing, and I'd love for you to jump into both of these. Fives need for solitude. So we love solitude. It doesn't feel icky to us at all. We like being alone, right? Narcissists also, and you've mentioned this before, Julie, narcissists like to, well, not like to, one of their goals is to isolate you from people who can make you aware of what's going on with the narcissist, right? So take you away from those people is one of their goals. And now we've got this person who likes to be alone, not necessarily isolated, but isolated doesn't feel gross to a five. So take it away.
Okay. So blessing and a curse, right? Like everything, how it's how you use it. So the five loving the solitude can be helpful for the narcissist because it can help them isolate them. However, what the five does when they're in solitude can help the five, right? So if that five in solitude is researching how to prove that they were right to the narcissist, that keeps you trapped, that keeps you stuck, that keeps you needing more and more and more and more solitude.
Yep.
But if when you're in that space of isolation and solitude, you are arming yourself with information and facts that support you and help you. You're strengthening your armor, you're putting your bubble back up, you're really looking at it that way. I would guess, and I don't know, I would guess that for a five, journaling would be a really helpful tool.
Yeah.
Because you're putting down your information, right? And information is your thing. So you now have sort of this running log of how this person makes you feel, what this person does. And here's the most important piece about that is when you have that information, you do not share it with your narcissist. That's what you use to strengthen yourself and keep you in that self-aware place of, oh no, I do know this. This is true for me. And if I tell that narcissist, I'm giving them more opportunities to throw out different bait.
Yeah.
Or as another therapist I know says, I'm giving them places to plug in. Stop giving them outlets.
Yeah.
Just, eliminate all of those places. And we say it, I think every time we've used the words, do not engage, right? Which I bet is a huge challenge for a five.
God, yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because
they know things.
I'm going to teach you how wrong you are. Right? I know.
Yeah.
And I can show you all the errors of your ways. Which you're right. I'm sure you're right. But those narcissists aren't like healthy people who go, thanks, man. I really needed that. Right? They're like, oh, you think you're so smart. And where did you get that information? And you think you're better than me. And you don't, right? And they're going to challenge all the things you know about yourself. That's not very respectful. That's not very thoughtful. You're not being calm right now. It seems like you're getting awfully wound up. Those are all the things that are the opposite of who you as a five are. So those narcissists are so good at like knowing where people's weak points are. And what they need to do to get in there. And if they can't get in quick, they usually move on.
Yeah. So my bet is a lot of narcissists out there don't know anything about the Enneagram. And most of the people walking on the planet probably don't either. So we've got these people that are real good at, I'm going to say, reading our energy and knowing where our 9 sets of vulnerability exist, right? So how is it that we get to walk on the planet for however long we've been on the planet as individuals and not have a clue about this in ourselves, right? Like how fascinating is it? Do I sound like a 5 there, right? How
I
fascinating
was
is it
just going to say that.
that these people who know nothing about the Enneagram know more about us, or I don't know that they know more about us, but they certainly know how to press our buttons and access our energy. And if we're not self-aware, not to say that the Enneagram is the only tool of self-awareness, it's certainly not, but it is one of them. So if we're walking around being mindless, which I think unfortunately most of the people on the planet are, and you've got these people who can just tap into things we don't know about ourselves. Like, to me, I can't imagine anything more dangerous, no matter what type you are. So I guess this is a good time to talk about when we need to know it's important, when we need to know it's time to get help if we're in over our heads, and how to gauge how serious a situation is, when you can handle it yourself through self-awareness, and when it may be time to say, I need a lifeline.
I think, like we said, a 5 in particular, journaling is really great.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What do you know to be true? And being, this is where that's so helpful, is being able to step out and like accumulate the information and really look at it and analyze it. Because if you look at it and you go, I'm not feeling safe,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm not I'm not being my highest self, or I'm not isolating to recharge. I'm isolating all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? I don't know how helpful it is for a 5 to say, check in with someone who really knows you, who
Yeah.
can say, hey, you don't seem like you.
Mm.
I'm not sure that's
That's probably not going to
necessarily,
happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
the best.
Mm-hmm.
But analyze your own information and facts, right?
Yeah.
I say it a lot to clients and about a lot of different things. Don't worry about making decisions. Focus on gathering information.
Mm-hmm.
And for a 5, you're going to want to gather information. That's not going
Mm-hmm.
to be uncomfortable. It's not going to
Yeah.
be scary. It's like, ooh,
Right. Yeah.
yes, right?
Yeah.
And then analyze that information. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you have information there and you're like, I'm not sure what to make of it, that's a great time to ask someone for help. It's a great time to reach out.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel safe. And you've said it a few times with the 5s that there are certain things that are
Mm-hmm.
makes you feel unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the the feeling and the visual I have is a is like a 5 standing somewhere when an earthquake is about to happen. That's got to be kind of like your
Yeah.
things are moving and you don't feel steady and you don't feel grounded, but all of the information you have says you're safe.
Yeah. But there's a shoe that's going to drop. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep. That's a 5.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so, and I think a lot of the different types too, when you have the feeling that the shoe is going to drop, when you have a feeling like you're not grounded, and I don't mean for, a few minutes, but
Mm-hmm.
overall, I
Yeah.
no longer feel grounded. I no
Mm-hmm.
longer feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are really,
Yeah.
really good warning signs that you should pay
Mm-hmm.
attention to.
Yeah.
Or I don't even know who I am anymore, which, man, that's got to be crazy hard for a 5.
It's more, I think most 5s would probably say, I don't know what I think anymore. Because 5s always know what they think
Gotcha.
because they've researched it. So if you're at a point where you're so confused and you don't have that time to decompress and sort and get it clear, they're not letting you do that. They're not letting you think. That's definitely, to me, that's a huge red flag of go get help, because they've disconnected you from your mind.
So when the 5's desk is overflowing with papers like mine is on Friday night, the the 5 now organizes all the papers, puts them in the appropriate files, throws out the
Throws out what they
duplicates and the unnecessary things, right? puts everything in the filing cabinet in the right spot
Mhm.
and locks it up before they leave.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
when the 5 has a clutter of papers,
They're in
that's
7.
when they're not.
Yeah. They're in
That's when they're
7.
7.
Yeah. They're in the low 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Disorganized, ADHD. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee. Like 10 miles away. and don't discount the importance of that drive time.
That's right.
But yeah, they'll have chaos because they don't have the access or the perception that they have access to the energy to get organized again. So yeah.
Wow. That
Yeah.
seems like a crazy cycle,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you need the the isolation, the time away to recharge,
Mm-hmm.
but it's got to be terrifying to think, but now I got to go back and
And be vulnerable to my
together.
mind being attacked again and not knowing what I know. And then what if I have to do more research because they don't understand what I'm trying to express? And then I'm going to lose time because I don't have all this time to do extra research because they don't understand what I'm trying to get across to them. Yeah.
And if they don't understand what you're trying to get across to them, stop trying to make them understand.
Yeah.
There's the
Yeah.
trap, right?
That's how you shut off the energy supply right there.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't
Yeah.
get it, walk away.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
Yeah.
owe them.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a line, and I actually talk about this in the course, that Jack Nicholson movie, A Few Good Men. He's actually an 8 in that film. I mean, as best as anybody could know, right?
Yeah.
But he goes to a very 5-ish/8 energy, in that line where he says, "You can't handle the truth." If you can, this is a good segue, to talk about the 5 going to 8. And I'm not suggesting that if you're dealing with, a dangerous narcissist, that you should have this conversation, but have it in your head. As a 5, you know what the truth is because you've probably turned it upside down and inside out, and you know what the truth is. You've researched it. You've got the solid basis for what you know. And you've got to know in your heart that they can't handle the truth, and you can. And that is a 5 within their own being, going to an 8 line, being courageous within themselves, being brave enough within themselves to say, I know truth. Being in charge of yourself and your own energy, being instinctual about it, because that 8 is instinctual, right? 8s are the leader, the challenger, right? And 5s have access to that line. In fact, let me bring that energy, that image up. So this is the line we're talking about. 5 going to 8 when they want to achieve or attain something. When they're in their line of integration, they're going to go to that 8, the leader, the challenger, right? Again, it's about being courageous, being brave, being instinctual, being in a leadership stance, and being confident, but not just confident with what you know, and you don't have to prove it to a damn soul. Just be confident with what you know. Draw your power. You know the places where you can lose it. We've talked about where you can lose your energy, but you can get your power back through your 8 energy. As long as you're not in a disintegration state of being. If you can gather your wits up enough to connect with your integrated self, you're going to find that in your 8 line. So yeah. I think that covers what I have here. Julie, I know you probably have something that I haven't talked about the higher side. Do you have something to add first? Do you want me to go over to the other diagram?
No, go ahead and go
We'll
over.
go over there. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, Okay. All right. So, all right. So type 5 in balance. So most of these you're going to apply to yourself when you're dealing with a narcissist. That whole scholarly thing, again, keep what you know to you. That good sense of knowing that you have, don't let them know about it. Being thoughtful, that I would direct that more to yourself. Being respectful, I would direct that more to yourself. Being an excellent listener, again, direct it more to yourself. Listen to yourself. Listen to the organization that comes out of that journaling. If you're a meditator, there will be a process that comes out of that. Listen to that. Keeping your needs simple. Fives are awesome at keeping things simple. So, so the more you do that, that's going to serve you. Being reliable, that's more about you also. We don't care if you appear reliable to the narcissist. It's almost preferable that you don't. Being calm in a crisis, I think that's one of your superpowers when you're dealing with a narcissist, because they don't want you to be calm. Fives are calm typically when things go wrong. I mean, that calm in a crisis thing. If you're a healthy 5, you're the one everybody wants in the room. Fives will usually fall apart later, by the way, because after the crisis is resolved, then they realize A, they can. B, they need to decompress. They need to get that energy back. So don't count on what the 5 will do after the crisis, but in the crisis, they're calm. So being calm and centered is going to be off-putting. And I'm sure, Julie, you'll have more to share on that. And being self-sufficient. And as we said before, being prepared with the information and the facts, but not, those are for you. They're not for you to share with the narcissist. They're going to only get you deeper into a trap.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, you can, as a 5, you can take your good qualities and apply them to you.
Mm-hmm.
You've done a really good job of reinforcing your bubble
Yeah.
and making it so that it is going to be much harder for the narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're staying in this place of all of this good stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you're pretty protected against that kind of energy, I would think, unless it's someone who's connected to you familially.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because
Mm-hmm.
that's different.
Yeah.
I would say that as a 5, these, if you run into someone who is sort of the opposite of those things, those, that would be good information to accumulate and go, this isn't going to be a good match for me. Right? Not, you don't even have to go to the place of that person's likely a narcissist, but you can say, this person's going to be a challenge for me. Where's our common ground? Right? They're going to need all of this from me, and I don't have enough to give. So
yeah, I think especially if you express it, because let's say you've got a healthy, slightly off 7 in your life who's not a narcissist, right? Or even a 3 who just wants to do the things. Let's get out there and let's win. Let's do, let's go play ball or something. And you just want to read a book. So if you just say, you know what, right now, my head just has too much in it. Can we, like, maybe in an hour, and see how they respond to that? Because that's that boundary, right? That's, everybody's got their own individual needs for what a boundary should look like. But for 5, that's it. I need some quiet. I need to just be off by myself for a little bit. Can we circle back and do that later? Well, if that's a problem, that's probably yeah, we don't want to do this.
Yep. That's an excellent way to test a boundary and see how they're going to respond. And if they're like, oh yeah, we could, but I don't know, why would we need to wait a whole
hour? Yeah.
Or, right, making you then second guess what you know.
Yeah.
Someone who makes you second guess, makes you question yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not a good place for a 5, right?
I think something a narcissist might do with a 5 in that situation is, well, you're just too sensitive. Let's just get out and do something. I could see that. Like you're just like making it about, it's like you're just too sensitive. Why do you, nobody else needs all this time. Why do you need time?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Or look at you. You're being so responsible. Must be nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you spend too much time by yourself.
Yeah.
Nobody else does.
Mhm.
Normal people don't.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being self-aware is really, really critical, right?
Yeah.
For all people.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And knowing what you need and recognizing when someone is saying, no, you don't.
Mm, mm,
That's about them. That's not about you.
hmm. Yeah.
Someone doesn't like your boundary. That's about them. It's not about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Being strong enough and self-aware enough to say, well, you don't have to like it. I'm enforcing it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
if you're not going to respect it, then
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have time for you.
Yeah. And that's where the 5 gets to borrow from eat, because
Mhm.
that's not a natural thing for a 5 to say. So
Yeah,
this is where that awareness piece of, well, I have that in my little bag of tricks, in my Enneagram bag of tricks. I have that 8 thing I can pull from and, enforce that boundary with confidence
mhm.
and just, put another level of boundary up. So yeah. So did we leave anything out?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't either. All righty. So I guess we will wrap it up for type 5 and the narcissist. If you are a type 5, make sure you're good about your bubble. And thank you for being here today. And we will see you next time. All right. And if you haven't already, please like the episode, comment, share, subscribe, hit the little bell so you get the alerts on things that are coming up. Okay. Thanks again for being here.
Thanks, Maria.